Hello and welcome to another episode of the Electric Norwegian. I'm Mats. Now, today it's a beautiful cold winter's day. It's about 2 degrees below zero, so the car needs charge. I just want to drive. So let's just have a talk about general things. VW, for instance, and regen. The ID4, for instance, they said, well, we won't really have that much regen on the brake pedal, because apparently VW has come to the conclusion that the best way to regen is to remove everything from the throttle or watt pedal or whatever you want to call it, and then put it all on the brake, so most of it. When I drove the ID3, I found it to be a very nice and well-judged system. They have some regen. I'm thinking maybe you can adjust it. I can't really remember right now. In the Ioniq, for instance, or other products, you have paddles on the steering wheel of which you can adjust your regeneration. In the Tesla you can, or you could at least. In this one you can, because it's an older model. Adjust the regeneration to low or high, standard or whatever it's called. I just run it like now. I love regen. The more the better, of course. It's a good thing. It's dynamic, so it doesn't just slam you in the face, but it actually comes in gradually depending on your speed and so on. And I like to drive my cars, and you know, I love my autopilot and my pilot assist functions, but I like to drive sometimes, like actively. And I found that driving actively on a country road with decent and well set up regen really does make you don't drive differently, but you interact differently with the car, because you can adjust your speed, your entry speed into corners with 1 foot with a very high degree of accuracy. And that's something you really can't do in a petrol or a diesel car to the same degree, unless you drive constantly around in second gear, and I wouldn't really recommend driving around in second gear. It's not good for the engine, and it's not good for the gearbox, and not for your wallet either. Now in the Porsche, I was slightly taken aback by the lack of regen. Even when you turn it on, it's not very aggressive. I can sort of understand why they did it, because I'm not gonna argue with Porsche's engineers or test drivers, because they know things I do not. But I at least think it should be an option that if you're new to the electric car experience, maybe you want a softer setting, and then you get used to it, and then you can adjust it as you want. But they don't seem to allow that, and I think that's very, well, it's sad, because it sort of robs you from a good bit of the whole experience. To drive electric is to be able to do these things if you want to, or if you don't, you can at least have an option. You can choose. This is my personal theory. It might be correct or it might be wrong, that regen on the throttle pedal is in some instances actually will increase traffic safety, because say now there's someone running in the street and you're on the throttle. The moment you lift off, the car begins to brake. You don't have to lift off and then hit another pedal, and then you have maybe half a second or something. It's not much, but it is there. You get really very quickly used to having regeneration. It's strange that I remember in my first electric car, the Kia Soul. It didn't have the biggest range in the entire world, but it did have regen, and I remember driving it around all summer, and then going back to work, and as I work in groundworks and stuff, I have a van, a VW Transporter, a diesel, and that clearly doesn't have regen. Since I was used to driving electric for 3 weeks, I just came, and then came the first hill, and I was like just lifting off, and I was like, wait a moment, oh, I have to brake, right? Yes. Maybe drop a gear, you know, those things. It's the same thing if you've driven an auto for a long time, and then go back to driving a manual. You figure out something, you give it beans, and then you find out that it doesn't move very fast, and if I have to drop a gear or two to get this thing going, it's then, you know, just a tiny little detail, but it's fun. We're all creatures of habit after all, good and bad. I must say I did like the new UI. I wasn't entirely certain. I wish this could be bigger, but it is, as I understand it will become optional if you want, you know, how much of this you want to see, because sometimes you need to see a lot of it and other times you do not. And as we're in Europe, we do not have the FSD, at least not yet. Norway can allow it though, as I understood, as we have they already have been driving self-driving buses in Oslo for a few years now, on of course set routes and all that. Self-driving in buses makes perfect sense. After all, they are, you know, it's a set environment, and you know where the bus is going. It's not like, but that's what differs Tesla's FSD and everybody else's, because everybody else's runs on maps, on HD mapping, and then in special you have to know everything in your environment, and then you can be self-driving. You can't take a Waymo from Arizona and drop it in New York. It just wouldn't work. We just go flat and stay there, because it didn't know where it was. The Tesla's approach is to train it on several different machine learning, so for different problems, put it all together, use all the sensors in the car and run it through locally through the FSD computer, and then solve everything and make it work everywhere. And I must say, I've seen a few videos. One of those I think is very, very good is I think it's a Delta Tesla or something like that, or Tesla driver, or he's really, really good at this. I think he's at Los Angeles or San Francisco or somewhere, and what the car does automatically in a dense environment is just astonishing, truly amazing. And I must say that the abilities of this car is just, and also in snowy conditions where you can't really see, because that's the thing with snow, everything is white, and you really can struggle sometimes. Oh, it's icy here. Ooh, let's just see for fun, and then let's just do this. Oh, fine grip, and it goes. Everything is white, and you can't really see where the edges are, you know, and so it's what's snow and what's a ditch, because it's all snowed, it's all filled with snow, so you can't see that, and you might just crash. But Tesla tries to navigate that. There's no road marking, and it does a surprisingly good job of it. So, and that's where Tesla differs from everybody else. They're building a system that they're trying to get to work everywhere. And that is really, really, really remarkable, I must say. And I can't wait to try it myself at some point, somewhere. Because every country has different challenges. We have here a narrow road, you see? We both have to go across the white line to make space. And how would a Tesla do that? Would it actually move You know, I think it would, but it's kind of... And driving culture, you can't take a car that's trained in New York traffic and place it in Oslo, for instance, because, I mean, you could, and it would drive, probably, but New Yorkers probably drive different than people in Oslo do, and people in Oslo drive different than people do in Berlin or whatever, you know. So the consumption of this car in winter is terrible. I know I just floored it over there on the ice, but still, it is, of course, coming from an Ioniq, everything is terrible, I guess. Because the Ioniq is... I'm normally kind of a bit hard on manufacturers using non-dedicated EV platforms and then building an EV out of it. But I must say that Kia Hyundai have done something about both the Ioniq and the Niro that are just astonishing, because their efficiency figures are through every conceivable scale. I know everybody says, oh, Tesla's so efficient. I'm sure they are, but not nearly as much. Of course, Teslas are heavier by a lot. They have a lot more power, so you pull more power more easily, because you can. And all that stuff. But of course, one thing that the Ioniq has that this car particularly doesn't have, and that's a heat pump. It makes a huge difference in consumption. Massive difference, particularly in winter time. Get this car down under 200 watt hours, winter time, nah, forget it. I mean, maybe you can't, maybe, but it's not very... Depending on how you drive, my drives these days are mostly short, back and forth to you know, the shop and shit. Now I'm out just enjoying myself. 216 watt hours. You know, it's not very impressive, is it? I don't know what an Ioniq would use now. 130 maybe. It's just and it charges consistently fast if you give it enough power. It just no other car in that class for that price. Now the old Ioniq, it's used, I know that, but for its price, it can't match those numbers. It's impossible. Yes, you have cars now that go further, but you know, it's just, and the equipment levels they offer, brilliant. So I'm sort of wondering about trading this in the new one, because I don't give the toss about the new center console. I personally don't think it's pretty nice. Even though I always drive with the lid to the phone open, this looks, I don't know, I just don't think, I think the new one looks cheap. But hey, I haven't tested it yet and I haven't gotten used to it, so it might just be me saying things, I don't know. I really would like the heat pump. It does seem, however, that Tesla has programmed the battery to do some silly things. It's actually on the battery, heat scavenging, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But it draws, I don't remember if it's the Panasonic or the LG batteries. It scavenges so much heat from them that the internal temperature of the battery drops so much that the car goes into limp mode. That's not a good thing. And some people, and it's saw on some Tesla forums, they were like, oh my god, the heat pump is terrible. It's not, the heat pump is fantastic. The heat pump is the closest thing you come to magic, because you get more out of it than you put in, and that is just amazing. The problem is that Tesla has put the parameters all wrong. It's only for one of these two new battery packs. I don't know why, but I'm sure I can fix it. If the problem is the temperature of the pack, you can just tell it to scavenge down to X, you know, and if the temperature is below X, the battery will be fine. You will have all the power in the world. It's not a very difficult thing. This is probably just a a result of bad testing or of a use case they didn't think of. I don't know what it is. I've seen the honest videos now with the new updated Model 3, and it's really magnificent. May have had some issues though with heat pump reliability. That's sad, because it should really not be necessary. Let's go to rig. Let's go to rig. I need some power anyway. There you can hear that. Let's see here with preheat. I love preheating of battery. It came about a year ago, I think, and it's just fantastic. Particularly here in the colder climates. And then that front motor spools up. It sounds like a jet engine. It just makes all the difference in the world. And you hear about all these cars that got problems and nerfed charging and stuff. You can just preheat it. Does it give you full power? No, it doesn't. I mean, I tried the V3 here the other day, and I got 180, 190 tops. But to complain that, oh my god, I only got 100, look dude, 190 kilowatts. No one can match that, except the Taycan. No one can even touch that stuff. Of course it does fall, it's not the flattest charge curve in the world, but that's not the point. The point that you can come somewhere on a trip, plug in, boom, get that, even in X below 0, is, you know, brilliant. And very few others can do that. The Taycan can do it. The Merc, I would imagine the new BMWs as well. Haven't driven them yet. I have to do that. I've forgotten about them actually, but yeah, I have to call a dealer about that. If you're on a trip like now when it's cold outside, you need some power, and particularly if you have cars that do heat scavenging, you need to preheat the battery. Yeah, you probably use some more energy on doing it, but hey, you know, you get that back again in reduced charge times. And through reduced charge times, you might also get reduced charge cost, because some places pay you per, you know, you have the time component as well as the kilowatt hour pricing. So if you stand there for longer, you pay more. Really should have brought the scan my Tesla now. You know, seeing the temperatures in the pack. I forgot it. I haven't used it in a while. I mean, I did have it in the car. I just haven't bothered to hook it up and to bring the right phone with me. So that's my own fault, not the car's. Some people complain that, oh, it doesn't have a dedicated heat, battery heater. No, and it doesn't need one, because it can use that instead, or both motors. And I mean, it's not like you got more wear and tear on the motor. What's he gonna wear out? The ball bearings? You're not gonna wear out the magnets. That's impossible. So, yeah, nah. How long is the car? It's been 53,500 kilometers. It's barely been used the last year or so, and it's still brilliant. And the software updates. I read in the Ionic group and other places, oh, I had to go in for software updates and you know, visit the service center and stuff like that, and I'm thinking like, damn, my car just gets better sitting in the garage. Or it doesn't actually, because it stopped finding my Wi-Fi at home, so I have to use the phone. But you know, anyway, you don't have to go anywhere. It's magnificent, and it's properly done. You have, you know, you'll never feel like you have an old car. like many cars do. If you go into a 10-year-old Audi today, it like really feels old in there, at least in the infotainment system and that stuff. I'm looking forward to try the Ford. It's really, because I fiddled with the screen and stuff. I have seen it. I've been on a static. I've seen a static car, production car. Lots of space. It's some Ford buttons in there, but hey, you know what? It's a Ford. What do you expect? There's nothing wrong about a few Ford buttons now and then. But it's a lot of space. I like the interior and the screen, because I was very curious about how the screen would actually work and be to use. Because so many manufacturers make so crappy infotainment systems that they're not really natural and intuitive. And this system, the Ford system, really seems to be right up there, just right up there with Tesla and Volvo. Big screen, easy to use buttons, big buttons, easy to find, easy to navigate around. You never have to hunt around for things. And yeah, well done, Ford. Even the plunked on rotary dial is really nice to use. Don't really see the point of it. I mean, I see the point of it. I just think it's a bit strange, because everybody say, "Oh my God, you need to have a wait." No, because me as a driver, I have on the steering wheel, I have either this or a button or whatever you have. You know, you have mostly have the same the last 10 years, 15 years. You've had some sort of volume control on your steering wheel. That's just the only thing is the passenger. But you know what? We have this one here. You can do. You know, you have volume. No problem. I don't see the issue. But of course, if you want it there, it's not a problem. I'm just trying to say that all the screaming and shouting about it is really doesn't have any relevance. That's what I'm trying to come up with. The map is a little bit too small, and then you have the speed here. Yes, they reduced the font size, and I can understand why some people are angry with it. But I can also understand that it is moved closer to me as a driver there, so I don't really mind it that much. I can't say I really do. It's not that, you know. I can still see it clearly, and I still miss a front binnacle, because I've driven I own a Yaris, a Toyota Yaris once, and that had centered instruments. So it's not like this is the first of anything. But besides, it gives you this fantastic panorama, widescreen view of the world, and you can really see straight down in front of the car because of this low scuttle and the low window line of the car. And you couldn't have that if you wanted to have an instrument cluster, and you had to make the steering wheel bigger to be able to see the instruments and all this all this design. You know how you simplify things by just removing it, because you can have a smaller wheel, you can adjust it where you want. I don't have to think of a sightline to an instrument cluster with my steering wheel. I can place it exactly where I want to have it. Coffee. -4, and the snow and everything. Look, it's nice. Yeah, I like winter. And I moved a few things around here. You have your wiper control here. Yeah, okay, I wish maybe they also moved speaking of design decisions. Because of that, they removed because of that, the temperature controls are further towards the passenger, but it's not a big thing. It's not. My temperature is normally on 20 or 21 degrees through the air anyway, and it's an auto, so I don't see the problem. Or you can just use voice control, which is brilliant. Tesla is one of the best voice control systems in the business, with the possible exception of Mercedes. Everything else is crap. I don't know how they trained it, but they did, and it's really, really good. No, wait. I was lying. With the possible exception of Mercedes and Volvo. Because Volvo runs Google, and Google is just the best voice control assistant in the world. Simply because they just have a ton of data and they actively use it. I don't know why Apple lost the lead with Siri, but they did, and it's not bad. It works. It can do a lot of things, but it's not as advanced. And it doesn't. You can't really have a conversation going with Siri. That's impossible. It doesn't follow a thread, as it were. It just answers questions. So does this car, but it answers the questions it need to do, and it takes me where I need to go. And you can adjust the temperature, you can put on the heated seats. All these things you need to fiddle around with in a car, you can do with the voice. And in a car, particularly with a touchscreen, that really is a good idea, because it removes all these annoyances with more or less good design infotainment systems and screens and buttons and all that stuff that I complain on all the time. If you have a good voice assistant, it's less important because you don't have to interact with it. At the Riga supercharger. This is also people speak of Tesla superchargers. Now they're fantastic and they're being built out in a rapid, tempo. But here in Norway also things are happening. Like this place here started off around the Circle K shop. It started off with 2 mere chargers. And then Fortum opened behind that McDonald's over there 2 chargers, and now Ionity has 6 chargers, and they're 350 kilowatts. And I would not be surprised if Circle K can find a place for them, because it's pretty full here now, to put up their own chargers, because Circle K are building out their own charge network, and they're doing it very quickly, and they're doing it properly, because they put 4 or 5 or 6 chargers per spot, depending on, of course, and it's just such a joy to see. It really is. Oh, a blue Model S. Hello, nice color. I have to wash my car, it looks like crap. So let's plug it in and see what we get, shall we? Been preheating for a while now. Antibacterial liquid, always nice to remember. Clunk, and we're on. Okay. It really is a nice day today. It's cold, the weather is nice, Hey, oh my word. 123. 4. Okay, 124, 125. Do we get 130? 130. Just boom, straight up to 130. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Because that's the problem with, for instance, the Polestar. A lot of people have complained about the Polestar Volvo. It's the same drivetrain after all, the same battery pack, the same systems. Oh, they don't charge that fast. They charge slow, and they do that. They don't charge slow as such. I mean, if you go 5 years back, those charge speeds would have been astonishing to everybody, But they don't charge as delivered, because charge times are dependent on a lot of factors, and battery temperature is one of them. I mean, they don't have any preheating. You don't get the charge times. You don't get your, you don't get your speed. It's very simple. And it's very strange that they haven't implemented it properly, because they have one of the best systems in the world. They have the Google Automotive, or whatever it's called, system, and it knows where the charges are. They even have a dedicated button for chargers where you can plunk on it and it shows you the chargers nearby you, and you can go to one of them. And so the car knows it's navigating to a charge point. Why can't then the nav talk to the battery management, the BMS, and then say, hey, we're gonna charge up now, so you maybe just get what's your temperature now? Okay, what you need to be to get the full 130 or whatever. Okay, I need to be at this temperature. Okay, fine, then we just start heating the pack up, because it is liquid. It has a temperature controller, and it has liquids going through it to keep it at a set temperature, so it's not very difficult. You have all the ingredients, to do it. So it's just bad design, and the only people suffering from it are the customers. And it's really silly and unnecessary. And what did we come with? 15. We just got. This is really. It's falling. Okay, 1 to 6, but it's still. I'm not really complaining. Let's turn the AC off. I never turn the AC off. Turning the AC off didn't help on the charge speeds either, I see. I charged this car up the other day at to 30%. This car is standing still and it's killing me because I have no home charging, so I have to go places. I try not to supercharge too often. Try to charge it at my local shopping mall. There is normal chargers there. I can just plug it into and walk home. It's a 5-minute walk, and it just stands there for whatever time it needs to be, at 80 or 70 or 90%. So I do that once a week, but because I use it on short trips, and if it stands still and stands unused, it doesn't draw that much energy. But the vampire drain, sometimes in the cold particularly, can be disgustingly high, which means that you use more power. You use more time and money putting power into the battery. That just goes away, and you don't get anything out of it because you don't use the car. Unlike say for instance again, the old Ioniq or the older cars that weren't connected to the internet and didn't have some sort of data pull from them, they could just stay for 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks or anything, whatever you want, without any problem at all, because they just didn't have a drain, or the drain was minimal at best. So that's sometimes a bit annoying with this car, the vampire drain. And we used to think that, oh, it's just because it's connected. It's a connected car, it's an advanced car. No, Taycan is a connected car. It doesn't have this issue, or it has, but it's abysmally. It's really, really tiny in comparison. So we can't really say that, can we? No. 62%, 84 kilowatts. It's not that bad. Because it's not an e-tron. Because an e-tron is just crazy quick. No clue how long I've been here, really. Absolutely none. I have to go back and watch the footage. Maybe I can get a hint. It's not really very relevant. I think maybe we should go on now. Plug out and just continue our drive. I'll have to turn the heat on. Yeah, I think people, that's it. See you in the next one. Stay safe, stay distanced, and comment, like, subscribe, and all that good jazz. You already know that, but I'll tell it to you anyway. And really, if you want to see my next video, the best way to do that is to subscribe to the channel, surprisingly. Yeah. Bye bye everyone.